everybody, and welcome again to our Wisdom Wednesdays webinar. We are today with Musa, our VP of IT at CTI, Gavi, our expert on Q&A, and our business development leader, and our amazing guest, Kaylyn Trobaugh. Hi, Kaylyn. How are you today?
I am great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for having the time to join us. We are very excited to have you today to talk about, your plans of project management and everything about your life too. You are considered one of the biggest leader. You are the director of proposal management at Blue Hollow, and we want to hear you. I want to welcome everybody that are looking at us and watching at us from all our live streaming platforms on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and X. So, welcome again. If you have questions, please feel free to ask for questions on whatever platform you are. We are checking them all. So, Moose, you met Kaylin. So, how do you met her?
We were actually at I would say a conference focused on cybersecurity. And she was on a panel and giving some insights around cybersecurity as well as also hiring. And I thought she had made some really great points. So afterwards, just introduced myself and asked if she'd be willing to share some wisdom on one of these Mondays. And that day is today.
Awesome. So,
Yeah.
Kaylin, let's just start right away with your background. We want to know more about you. So, let us know why proposal management and what drew you to this field.
Yeah. So I think for most proposal managers, I didn't expect that I would end up being a proposal manager, but I love it. I came out of my undergrad. I did a couple internships in undergrad in fashion and marketing. I went up to New York City for a couple internships and loved the city. I did not personally love the industry. And so once I graduated, I was kind of like, all right, what's next? And there was an internship with the company that I've been with for almost 8 years now, and started out in as a project management assistant. And there was a gap where we didn't have any proposal managers, anybody kind of managing the bid and proposal process. And I loved kind of seeing that aspect and kind of help where I could. I love working with customers and our business development team to help come up with solutions. And the rest has kind of been history.
Wonderful. So, now that you tell us a little bit about your experience, what's one thing people often get wrong about proposal management?
Yeah. For something people get wrong, I would say, when you get a request for a proposal or kind of an RFP, you kind of come up with your schedule and you have your plan, and your plan is only as good as the day you put that plan together. So I think a lot of people say, or they probably get wrong, that nothing is going to go wrong. I have this perfect plan. Things are going to go according to plan. And for most cases, they never do. For every proposal I have, there's always a curveball, whether it's somebody not meeting a deadline or there is a change in scope. And so I would say, expect the unexpected because it's inevitable, and be willing and able to adapt to that change that comes.
Awesome. Moose, can you tell us something wrong about maybe not proposal management, but maybe related to, sales at CTI?
Yeah. So obviously in regards to sales, it's also kind of narrowing down the variables, because like she mentioned, there might be deadlines. They might lose budget here, and these things are unexpected. So,
Right.
especially within my 13 years, doing my best to be optimistic and hope for the best, but still plan for the worst in those regards.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Now, for you two, for you, Kaylin, and also Moose, what are two biggest lessons you have learned in your work?
I'm sure Musa can relate and kind of how we met. But for my work and everything that we do, don't lose sight that it's a small community, and relationships are huge no matter what. And building and fostering those relationships are, I think, extremely important. So we may bid on a program and win it, but then it's also extremely important that we keep that relationship and also deliver on what we proposed, and have a great solution and a great product to our customers. Um, and I think for proposal management specifically, I always say, don't shy from conducting and holding a lessons learned. Go over the good, the bad, the ugly, because if you shy away from any of the failures or things that could have been better, you can't implement them for the next bid and the next proposal. And I think that's extremely important to, also kind of understand where you can improve, whether that's your
Mhm.
solution, how you bid, or even, hey, we probably need to change our process here. This didn't work, and kind of moving forward versus, being stagnant.
Absolutely. And kind of to piggyback off what Kaylin had mentioned, just in regards to it being a small circle, right? Small community within the IT space, especially over here in Miami, relationships are so important. And I know some people that if they feel like they can't get something from you immediately, then they're just not worth their time. And so just being a genuine person goes such a long way because when I guess roles do come up, and they realize like what a consistent person you are, and you're not just reaching out just because of business and you actually care about their life and what they have to do and their family and things like that, then things will come back around full circle. And just realizing that a year is really not that long. I mean, think about it. In a week, we're in December,
Mhm.
right? So
Right.
please, ladies, make sure remember size 12 shoe if you want a Christmas shop. But that's besides the point. That's what but I think the next thing would just be in regards to being transparent in communication. Especially with our
Mhm.
company, we pride ourselves in being able to deliver within 24 to 48 hours, right? But if for some reason there isn't a candidate, within that 5 mile radius that can do it, make sure you're communicating that rather than ghosting a client or even
Right.
after someone has an interview, make sure to give the feedback even if it's not good feedback. So I think that goes a very long way in this industry.
I think I think that's a great point. For our company, we have great products and we do a lot of great things for what we do. And I've always admired and prided my business development team for, hey, if we don't meet one of the requirements or we don't have a solution that meets your needs here, uh, they have great relationships with industry partners or other capabilities out in the field to point, our customers to the right solution versus exactly what you're saying, Musa, kind of saying, yep, we can do X, Y, and Z. It's like, no, we're really good at X and Y,
Right.
and we can work together to find a great solution for Z.
There we go.
So transparency, great point. I think that's huge.
Absolutely.
Absolutely true. Now let's just talk about what will be two tips for a winning proposal, Kaylin.
Mm.
First tip, and I know we say this throughout the industry when bidding on, a defense government contract is your proposal compliant, compelling, and complete? And so those are like kind of the three things I always want to make sure you're doing. Are we complying with the requirements that were put out by the government? Are we meeting all the FAR, DFAR regulations, which is just kind of the federal acquisition regulations that are put in those RFPs? So are we compliant? Are we complete with our proposal? Did we answer all the requirements that they're looking for on a solution? Did we complete all of our technical volumes, our cost, our schedule? And then from our solution, is it compelling? So are we putting the best solution forward for what our customers' needs are? Are we expressing the benefits and highlighting the discriminators of our product and why it's the best out there? And for second tip, I would say have a great team. That's probably the only way that we are winning proposals is, I'm not an engineer, so I'm not coming up with these great solutions.
Right.
We have a great team of really brilliant engineers that come up with great solutions that, solve some pretty tough problems for our military and our allies. And I think that's huge. So huge, great kudos to my team and the team that we have at the company. Even putting together our proposal, there's formatting, we have graphics. I mean, it takes a village to put together a large and winning proposal, and so surround yourself and have a great team.
I was just about
Awesome.
to
And
say
for
that.
you, Moose? Yes, go.
Yeah, just in regards to what she had meant, I think that's one thing that I really enjoyed about our first conversation is your transparency of realizing that you can't do it all by yourself. I think that leaders a lot of times take on a lot more pressure than they need to, but that's because of the fact that ultimately, indirectly, subconsciously, they don't trust the people that are on their team. So when you talked about obviously investing in those people so that you can kind of take the reins off and let them run with it as well, I think that a lot of leaders that are even listening to us right now could really probably help their own mental health if they would, just invest more into people and then be able to let things off so that they can, kind of be a guide, but not necessarily have to micromanage at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. Lean
Totally.
on your team, because you can't do it all, nor should you, right? And uh, it would be a farce if I had all the answers and all the solutions. So yeah,
Correct.
absolutely.
Yeah. And you have to trust your team too. So,
Yeah.
absolutely. Now, let's talk about hiring. What would be, Kaylin, one green flag or red flag, whatever you want to share, in hiring in your field?
Green flag, and I know Moose and I kind of talked about this initially, was for me, and even with my recent hire, hired her in May, and she's been amazing. And that is because the green flag that I saw in her was she had a drive and this tenacity to want to learn and grow, and had a lot of great soft skills. And I think within management and specifically proposal management, you're working with a team. You have to be an influential leader. A lot of the team members that support our proposals, they don't report directly to me. Engineers don't report to me, tech editors don't report to me. So, how can you motivate and get somebody to do the work to have a winning and compliant proposal if they don't report to you? And to me, that's relationship building, that's building trust, that's a lot of the soft skills that most of the time can't be taught. So, to have that in you, and to see that potential, I think is huge. So, you know, when hiring, this is the point I think Musa appreciated is, you're not, I guess the advice is, don't always have to hire for somebody that has deep technical skills or meets all these requirements that you think check the box, because if they have that tenacity and the willingness to learn, like, they'll get there.
You hear that, managers out there? Everyone doesn't have to be a 10 out of 10 out of the,
Yeah.
they have this like super long like wish list, and they're like, and
Right.
I want them to be able to speak Spanish and have a 800 credit score and be able to sew underwater blindfold. Like, it's like, what? Like, what does it even
Right.
have to do with the job? So it's great the fact that you're speaking on flexibility,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
also just being able to read people as well. I think people get so stuck on resumes, and anyone can fill in any buzzwords, but it's like being able to be a genuine person and read the person in real life, I think, is just as important. But to
Absolutely.
your question, Aleha, in regards
Mhm.
to red
Yeah.
flags, with a lot of the clients that I've dealt with, a big red flag for them is when a candidate is there and doesn't have any questions at the end. Obviously, I'm sure that a lot of managers are thorough, but there still should be some kind of questions that you have about the company or where the projections are for next year or how you possibly fit in, just something to show that you're interested, or the fact that you've even done research on the company, and talked about ways that you could possibly enhance certain parts that they already have right now. I think that's a big thing where you could turn a red flag into a green flag.
Yeah. I would also say it's a little tough to gauge it, right, when you're interviewing, but once you get on the job, I think a red flag for me, especially for if you're a leader and you're in management and you're managing people,
Yeah.
red flag is if you're not taking accountability or ownership for proposals and everything. I'm the manager of that proposal.
Hmm.
If an engineer, somebody missed a deadline, you know, ultimately, yes, they missed their deadline, but as I'm reporting up, it's I'm taking ownership. Where did I fall short? What can I do better? It's so I always just admire and want somebody to take accountability and ownership of what they're doing.
And I do just want to quickly piggyback on that, right? Because I think that people sometimes, especially in interviews, as they're possibly looking at pitching themselves to new companies, that plays into effect in regards to when you're speaking about why you left, right? Because if you're constantly throwing every company under the bus, then and you're like, yeah, and everything's wrong with everyone else. It's like, wait, so what's the common denominator? Is the fact that it's you, right? At some point, so if you're not taking any accountability, even whether it's not for a team or for yourself, and goals that you didn't hit, that could play differently in an interview setting.
Yeah, and I think when I went through interviewing for a new hire and a new proposal manager, it is those situational questions, right? Hey, you missed a proposal deadline or this didn't win a proposal. Um, why, and what did you do to manage that situation. And
Mhm.
so yes, so then hearing kind of that answer of, well, the schedule was really hard to meet, and my team couldn't help out when they needed to, they were working on other projects or programs. It's like, so that's a little telling, right? When you're asking the situational questions of
Yep.
Right.
how are they responding, and what was their interpretation, or how did they take ownership of that failure.
Yeah, that's huge.
Totally. That's true. Kaylin, now that you're talking about your projects, what is one project you are excited about working next at Blue Hello?
Ooh, well, we have so many, which is exciting. We have a lot of great products, and they range from electronic warfare, our space technologies, directed energy, counter UAS, and for me, and kind of where I started, it seemed as if, right, the mission set for our customers was the traditional kind of global war on terrorism, and that's shifted to now kind of peer threats. And so how we solve those problems and kind of bring the best solution to our military, and working with our counter UAS programs and kind of helping propose those solutions, because those are right now kind of the biggest threat to our military and allies are drones, drones with IEDs,
Yep.
or explosives. And so I think getting the ability to work on those programs, and help provide and propose those solutions.
Awesome. Now, Kaylin, and this is also for Moose too, what book has changed your life and why?
Um, I actually just recommended this to my proposal manager the other day. Dare to Lead by Brene Brown. I highly recommend that book. It I read it after college, and it stuck with me. A lot of what she talks about, and kind of the tips and knowledge of you know vulnerability in the workforce, and vulnerability for the sake of building trust, and um, courage to have tough conversations. And I say the word vulnerability, and she even talks about it where it's like, vulnerability is not just disclosing information unwarranted, right? Vulnerability as a leader is, hey, are you willing and able to give hard feedback and have tough conversations when needed, and
Yeah.
not shy away from that, because you just
Right.
because it's tough, right? Or as a leader, are you willing and open to accepting tough feedback when it's hard to hear? I think early on in my career, I mean, I came in this, like I said, with no real training or background in the Department of Defense, and
Yeah.
government bidding and acquisition, and um, you make a lot of mistakes, right? And of course, I made a lot of mistakes, and I always reached out to my mentor and mentors of what went wrong, what can I do to improve, and that takes vulnerability, right? Of saying, yeah, give me the harsh feedback, and let's have those tough conversations so I can improve.
Yeah.
So it's a great book, for direct relation to proposal management. She also touches on this phrase that I love, that clear is kind and unclear is unkind. And as a manager for proposals, and I get an RFP, it's my job to be clear on our requirements and your roles and responsibilities. If I am unclear of what's expected from the team, that's unkind, right? So I think it's, just it seems really basic and easy, but implementing it sometimes is tough, and it's hard. And um, it, overall, it's a great book. Highly recommend it.
Awesome. Moose?
Awesome. Well, obviously, first, thanks for sharing those books. Right, I'm definitely going to look that one up. And then, I appreciate your openness to even just be able to say, "Hey, listen, like I did make mistakes before," because I think some people have never let those words be uttered out of their mouth, right? So just to have the confidence to say, "Yeah, okay, yeah, there was a season, where certain things weren't, top tier," and then obviously you're still brave enough to even receive feedback, like you said, from mentors so that you can better yourself. And I don't know if everyone really has that capability. So kudos to you on that. Um, and then in regards to, I would say my favorite book, definitely A Purpose Driven Life by Rick Warren. Um, he's actually a pastor of like a huge church over in California. But a big thing for him is just the fact that like even with all the titles and all the accolades that he has, because that's like he has the best selling like hardcover book like besides the Bible, like that sold millions and millions of copies.
Okay.
But he talks about the power of like a servant leader. That it's like I'm not in leadership to be smashing down on people, but it's like how do I become the greatest leader? I walk into the place trying to get coffee for everyone else, or figuring out how I can be a servant to them so that they can do their job to the best of their ability. So I think that's just a very like powerful but like humble state of mind that he shares with his audience, and I think that's powerful for anyone who's looking to be the best possible leader that they can be.
Yeah. I know we touched on that on our first call,
Yeah,
Musa, and and we were both kind of in agreement, right? Of, a leader doesn't have a fancy title. Like anybody can be a leader, and it's
for
not
sure.
just because you are the CEO of a company or C-suite
Yep.
that you demand, respect and you're a leader. I think it comes with, as you're saying, Musa, and also just building trust, being kind of open and all the qualities of not demanding that from your team,
Right.
working together. So that's a great point.
No,
That's definitely true. Yeah. Everybody can be a leader, Moose, including you. So don't worry.
thanks so much.
He is a leader.
Kaylin, we have a lot of questions. So we're just going to go through those questions with you and with Moose. So, Gabby, let's just
Make
go
it
to our
very
Q&A.
fun. Okay, so we have here. What strategies do you recommend for staying organized across multiple proposal projects?
Ooh. Um, Always having a good plan up front. I know I mentioned that, your plan's always as good as the first day that you put it together, but being able to stick to a plan, stick to a schedule, clear communication, clear expectations, especially when you do have multiple proposals. I don't think that there's ever been a time in the 8 years that I've been doing this that there are only one proposal that the team is working on. My team also with the engineers, they're working and helping supplement and support these proposals along with programs that they're currently working on. So it is hard for time management, but I think putting together the schedule up front, getting agreement and buy-in from the team, addressing anything up front of concerns. Hey, are you going to be out of office? Are you traveling? Do you have a program deadline that's critical, that's taking priority over something else? So good plan up front, good schedule, and clear communication.
Oh, excellent strategies. And what advice will you give to someone new in proposal management who wants to quickly improve their skills?
Ooh, good question.
I think you kind of touched on it before, slightly,
I repeat it.
but just in regards to like the mentors that you had,
Absolutely.
and I was going to actually ask you about that, like how important are mentors like in your life to help you kind of expedite your journey?
I know I said this at the panel and at the conference. I think mentorship is huge. I think it's everybody should reach out or try and have a mentor to help them. For me, early on, I remember I saw kind of actually in business development a leader and somebody that I was like, I'd love to see what that field is like and kind of understand where that goes. And also just having those back to vulnerable, tough conversations, having a mentor and somebody that you trust to give you the honest feedback of your blind spots or where you can improve, because it's important to, first and foremost understand your strengths and lean into those. Don't focus on all the weaknesses or negativity maybe, right? Like I think early on, I came into this defense contracting world not as somebody that was previously military or an engineer, which is a very technical field, and I could have focused on, oh, I'm not an engineer, I don't have this, and this. And I think that would have held me back versus, well, what are the tangible things that I could work on and get to that will help me, get to the next level in my career. And most of the time, it's asking a mentor for feedback of what they think.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah, thank you. How do you approach managing last minute changes in a proposal with a tight deadline?
Ooh, uh, you not to be blunt, but you kind of got to. I mean, for like defense, I mean, for the Department of Defense acquisition, it's always tight deadlines, and they're strict. So if you don't get your proposal in November 20th at 1 p.m., you're non-compliant. And so the typical turnaround time for us sometimes is 30 days, and it's usually about 2 weeks, and that is extremely tough for the team. How to manage that, especially with inevitable change, you know, got to roll with the punches. And I think being honest and transparent with the team is huge. First kickoff meeting, just like, hey, this sucks, right? We got 2 weeks to come up with a brand new solution, and it's going to be challenging, and it's going to be tough, but we'll work together and get it done. Uh, Recently, we were supporting a huge proposal, and we go through and multiple volumes, thousands of pages, and to do kind of your white glove of reviewing, making sure everything's correct, compliant. We print out all those pages, and I could not tell you how many reams of paper that we were going through, but of course the proposal is due in 2 days. We're still going through white glove, and we've run out of printer ink, and now we're scouring through Office Max everywhere in the area to get printer ink. Everybody's sold out of printer ink. Amazon's telling us you got 2 days until. It's like, well, the proposal's due in 2 days. So, I mean, if something can go wrong, it will, right? So, I mean, like, there's always going to be challenges and hiccups, and you have to roll with the punches and, just be honest and transparent with the team.
Yeah, I totally agree. And we have a lot of questions. We have time, Aleja? Okay.
Obviously, you're very
Yes, we
popular.
do. We have time. We have. I think it's missing like
Okay.
two. I think it's missing three
Every
or four more, but I
client,
think we.
okay. Every client express their needs in their own way, proposals wise. Do you recommend to adapt the commercial proposal to the client's vocabulary, even when the engineering field is too precise?
Can you repeat that?
The last question?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
say the question all the way over again.
Even when the engineering field is too precise?
I apologize, Gabby. What was the first part of the question?
I'm going to repeat all the questions. Every client express their needs in their own way, proposals wise. Do you recommend to adapt the commercial proposal to the client's vocabulary even when the engineering field is too precise? Precise.
Yeah. So back to earlier saying, a proposal's got to be compliant. So if the customer is requesting X, but we feel maybe Y is a better solution, I I believe it's maybe understanding why they are asking for this type of solution. I would address it, and if you have a better solution, then now we're getting to the compelling part. You are looking for something that's gonna, meet. You want something that's gonna meet this distance or this solution. This is why, and here are the benefits for a different type of solution. But if you don't address what they're asking for, I think that might be a mistake.
Good point.
It's true. Kaylyn, any advice on how to present a strong proposal?
On how to present a proposal?
Yeah,
A strong proposal? Yeah.
So I like to go back to what I was saying, where I'm not an engineer. So, our engineers come up with these great technical solutions that are amazing capabilities. when they write them and they are describing what it is, I'm not an engineer, so I'm reading it like 3 or 4 times. I'm like,
English.
yeah, I don't dumb this down, right? Like from The Office, talk to me like I'm five, because also assuming that the reader or the evaluator from the customer set may not be a engineer, right? Or they may not have full understanding of when we're talking about, below the noise floor, or this type of capability, radio frequency. It can be overwhelming. And so I think right to the point in your presentation. I love a feature and benefit. So, here's the feature and here's your benefit of this feature that we are proposing. So clear and concise and easy to understand.
Yo.
Very useful. Yeah. And our last question, sadly, how important is storytelling in proposals and how do you incorporate it into your work?
So for a proposal and bidding, I think it's important to have your narrative, but I think what's more important is past performance and like your proof points. So, if we're proposing a solution and we're explaining why this is the right solution for them or capability for our customers, we're also pointing back to past performance. We did deliver on something similar to, or the exact same solution, and it delivered well. It met the performance metrics. So always, I think you don't want to go too far with the storytelling. I think you want to be clear on, here's our past performance,
Yep.
Here's how we've delivered, here's why our solution is working out in the field. And I think that's also too where our discriminator and our products from electronic warfare that I can speak to is because they do what we say that they do, right? So our customers know our products. They work out in the field, and we've delivered them. And I think that's extremely important when you're being, back to Moose's point, honest and transparent versus maybe just a narrative and storytelling.
Very good.
That's all for my
Wonderful.
part, Alejandra.
That's all the questions. Awesome, Gabi. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you, everybody, for all your questions. Kaylin, I have shared your LinkedIn through our live stream platform because I received people asking me if they connect with. So, yes, I have shared her LinkedIn. If you have questions about what you have questions about Blue Halo as well, you can just go there and follow Kaylin and everything. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you so much for this amazing conversation. We were right on point, our 30 minutes webinar. Moose, thank you again for your feedback, for
Of course.
always, your comments and everything. And I'll see you next Wednesday. We have more webinars coming soon before the end of the year, so stay tuned. Kaylin, thanks once again for being here and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you
Awesome.
so
Thanks
much
so
for
much,
having
Kaylin.
me.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you guys. Bye.